are here live at, or not live, I don't know why I said that. We are here at Mountain West Media Days, here with New Mexico head coach Jason Eck. How's your media days been so far?
It's going well. It's good. When we hit this day, the season's close, so it's fun to get out here and talk to everybody and get ready to go here next month.
And I see you're keeping the tradition of dressing sharp for with the whole team as well yesterday.
Hey, we think this is a first class event they put on here, so we try to look first class for it.
Yeah, I told the players, I was like, since you guys are the only ones that do it and nobody else has caught on, it literally, when you guys walk in, it feels like Air Force when they walk in. It's like, oh,
they're sharp in their
Lobos.
suits as well.
Exactly.
I gotta ask Calhoun how come he doesn't wear one of those suits.
Yeah,
he was a cadet.
How does he get out of that? Yeah, that's a good point. He just wears a polo. All right, so on to your team. When we talked last season, you talked about how New Mexico had hidden untapped potential, and after what you guys have accomplished last year, it's safe to say that the Lobos are hidden no more. What was your favorite moment of the 2025 run?
I think our last regular season game, beating San Diego State. It was always fun to beat a team like that. It was leaving the conference, and that made us tie for the conference championship by winning that game to go 6-2. And we had a great turnout. We had a great fan turnout. It was 30,000 people. The fans came and made a huge difference in the game. There was false starts created in overtime because they were so loud. And kind of walked off that. The fans stormed the field, and we kind of walked off that day thinking, man, we kind of made this like the pit. We told recruits when we took them to the pit for basketball games, the football games were just like that. We were probably stretching the truth at the time, but we kind of talked it into existence because that day University Stadium was just like the pit.
Yeah, that last defensive stand where there was just false start after false start was like that's one of the most magical moments in Mountain West history, honestly, at least in my opinion. So after having to add essentially as many players as possible last year from the portal, you were able to be much more selective this year. Did your approach in recruiting change at all with less roster spots to fill? And off the top of your head, which incoming transfers have impressed you the most through spring ball?
Yeah, we certainly took less transfers this year. I think we probably are more in the high 20s, where I think we were like 45 last year. So, I think we were a little bit more selective, with things. And then, we targeted just a few positions where we were thin or lost some guys. We lost a good tight end. We had a good tight end coming back with Cade Keith. But, we had a triple Walsh from Iowa State. I think he's going to really, help there on offense. We wanted to move Malik Alian inside to guard, so we targeted a transfer there. Cole Millward from Weber State, who's going to come in and compete with Elvin Harris for that starting tackle spot. We lost a great back, Damon Bankston, to the NFL, and we lost DJ McKinney to the portal. We were able to add Cam Matthews and Kiefer Sibley that I think are really going to help with our running back room. And Keegan Johnson had a great year for us last year at receiver. Who was honorable mention all conference, and we were able to fill in some nice transfers there. Troy O'Meary, who's been from this league at UNLV and had a nice year for them last year. We got Miles Williams, who did a nice job at Eastern Washington. And then, at the end, we lost some guys. And Albert Tukalu, who was a junior college transfer, not a portal guy, but from San Mateo, a really good junior college program in California. He came in and is a starter at defensive end coming out of spring. And then Armani Arnold, corner, we lost some guys to graduation who did a good job for us. But Armani Arnold's kid came over from Cincinnati, but he had played for us at Idaho.
Exactly.
So he had 2 years at Idaho and then 2 years at Cincinnati, and now coming here for his last year. So a number of guys who I think will help and make an impact. And then Luke Drzwicki did a great job kicking the ball for us last year, was honorable mention all conference. He moved on. Nick Romero is in competing with Grant Glasgow, and Romero was an FCS transfer from Wagner, who had a great year last year.
Absolutely. All right, so obviously your linebacker core is led by reigning Defensive Player of the Year and your son Jackson Eck and Mercury Swaim as well. There are only 8 total linebackers on the roster, at least the last time I checked. Is depth at all a concern there, or do you have players at safety or edge that you might feel comfortable about moving around if it comes to that?
Yeah, in our system, too, we're playing more of that 4-2-5 type defense, so we really only have 2 linebackers in the field at a time. So I feel pretty good about our
that's 14.
Our depth there. Clay Martineau is a good backup who transferred over from Boise State. He's going to be an excellent special teams player for us. I think he can even help us rushing the passer on third down, go to defensive end. And then Nick Wheeler was a guy who really made a big improvement this offseason. He was a safety we recruited out of Texas, redshirted last year, but we moved him to will linebacker. He's really done a good job backing up Mercury Swain. So I feel good about our depth there.
And so you're no stranger to dealing with North Dakota State during your time at South Dakota State. What do they bring to the conference, and do you consider them as one of the Mountain West favorites, despite it being their first season in the FBS, or do you feel like they kind of have to earn that right?
I don't know if I would say they're the favorite, but I firmly believe they're going to be, the top 3, 4, 5 teams. I think they're going to be very good. I think it'll be an easy transition for them. They got a great program. Obviously, their on-field success has been great. They have a good setup. The last 4 head coaches there won national titles at the FCS level, so they got a good setup. They have a good town. They do a good job raising money and funding their programs. They got a great media following, and you can see they have a good contingent of people out here. So they, I think they'll make a very quick adjustment. I think it was a great addition by Gloria and Sullivan adding them to the league.
Sure. All right, and then last question. By my count, you had 3 true freshmen hold down starting roles last year, with Jay Martasi taking over at right guard for the second half of the season. Zahil Smith had some great moments at receiver, and safety CJ McBean was fantastic and was one of my personal breakout picks for 2026. What are the keys to finding high school players that are ready to contribute immediately at the next level, and what did you initially see in those guys that led to their great first campaigns with the Lobos?
Yeah, we really had a long recruiting process with all those guys. And one thing unique is all 3 of those guys actually signed with us in Idaho. So we had recruited those guys in Idaho, and they were in hotbed areas where we recruited a lot. In Idaho especially, we wanted to really do well in the Northwest. So Jamar was a Seattle kid, and Zahil's from suburban Portland, and CJ McBean's from a good program in Southern California. So they were good players. They had good athleticism, good movement skills, explosive athletes, and I thought when we signed them in Idaho we were getting steals, and then they proved kind of us right by moving up a level and playing well as freshmen. And the exciting thing is I think all 3 of those guys can really make a big jump from year 1 to year 2, and really go from guys who played last year and started, but really being difference makers.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's all I got, Coach.
I appreciate it, Jack. Thanks so much for having me. Good questions.